And since I'm already in the mood and the lights are good, I'm gonna make another video, and it's a little bit connected with the first one. So what's up, guys? And this video is gonna be about something that I have read about not so long time ago, and it's about body dysmorphic disorder, BDD. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but let me check. Dysmorphic disorder. I think, did I say that? I'm not sure I say that. But anyway, so it's about body dysmorphic disorder. Body dysmorphic disorder. And it's something that I never knew that I had, but I always had. That's so amazing. Like, I had this body dysmorphic disorder since I was a little girl, since I was like I think like I could say like 7 or 8. I'm sure I had it because I hated my body. I was a little girl and I never loved my body, and it's so amazing to see, like so amazing that nobody noticed before. And I can't believe that I went through all that all by myself. Nobody helped me, and I came out of it. Because if you ask my kid, if you ask Juju, is 9 years old now, if you ask him what he thinks about himself, he loves himself. He thinks he's so handsome. And that's since I know of, like since he was a little boy, if you ask him, are you handsome, he would say, yes, I'm handsome. And I think it's awesome. I think it's the right way that everybody should think just good of themselves. Just since especially when they're kids, they should be taught to think and love themselves exactly the way they are, because who you are, it's unique, and you're not supposed to be like anybody else. You're not supposed to look like anybody else. You're supposed to look exactly like yourself. Exactly, everybody looks divine, exactly how they're supposed to look, exactly how they had intention to look. And I just like, if you read about that, the body dysmorphic disorder, I had everything about. I have everything what is in that list. I have had it. And since I was a little kid, it was not something that developed with the time. It was since I was a little kid, I saw myself as something horrible, something disformed and something ugly, and I hated it. I was super shy. I was super shy in family gatherings. I just wanted to hide myself every time. I just hated everything about me since I was a little girl. And it's so amazing. I'm just like thinking like, why that has happened. I always heard that I was ugly when I was small, so people would tell me that. And my brothers was calling me when I was all the time until I moved out of my house. They called me the devil sucking a mango. That's how they used to call me. Not my older brother though, not my younger brother who lived with me. Not the younger of my oldest brothers. But maybe to anybody who is not so sensitive, that probably wouldn't affect so much. But for me, who was a very sensitive person, who was already so hard on myself, that was so hard to listen from my brothers something so mean like that. Of course, they didn't mean that. I'm not judging my brothers or anything. they're kids and they're like learning, and they have their own issues. They have their, I think they have their own anger inside of them. And but that was so hurtful. And not only that, I never heard from my mom when I was young that I was pretty. I never heard that. She never told, because she would always speak the truth, and that was not the truth. So, but, and I think that on the top of that, I was adopted from, I was adopted to this family, to my aunt and my uncle, who became my parents afterwards. So you already don't feel like you belong there. You already feel like there is something wrong with you, because you're not really part of that family. That's how I felt. Like, that's how I grew up feeling. I felt like for a long time there was not part of the family, that I had to be careful, that I had to be extra careful, you know, like I couldn't really be myself as a child. I couldn't, I, I was just so super shy and super afraid and scared, and I didn't want to be sent back, and I, to my biological parents. And you know, so many things in the mind, so many things in a little person's mind to try to control and try to understand. And then that just became worse with becoming a teenager, and past the teenager times. And everything is just made, it just made it a lot worse. And it was to the point that I always compare myself with other people. Not to other people, but in my mind, I would always compare myself. I would always think I was the ugliest, no matter who was around. I always thought I was the ugliest person in the room. Even if there was a 10 times uglier person than me, you know, like that's so mean way to say, but just to give an example, that's how I felt. That's how I saw myself, and that's who I was. And I know it was so many years of self-hate and telling bad things to yourself. So many years, like how a person can be happy when everything what you think and say to yourself about yourself is bad. Everything about myself was bad for me, and I didn't want to look myself in the mirror. I didn't want to take pictures. I didn't like to be part of family gatherings. I didn't want to, I think like the worst was not to want to look yourself in the mirror, you know, just when you really have to, you know, like to wash your face or fix your hair or something like that. And after that, after I was a little bit older, I wanted to look better, you know, I wanted to feel better, I wanted to do something. So I started using makeup, I started fixing my hair more. And I remember that when I fixed myself, even though I didn't know how to do my makeup back then, I always took so long time. No matter how little makeup I would put, it always take me so long time, because I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be like, I saw things so clearly. I saw like, if I put a little bit blush on this side, then it has to be exactly the same amount on that side. Or if I do eyebrow, then if I did my eyebrow, then it has to be exactly the same on the other side. And it took so long time to get ready. So, and my hair had to be perfect. It could, if I would have it waved, then everything has to be in a perfect wave, no straight hair. But if it was straight, then everything has to be straight, no waves, no any side can be can have a little waviness in it. And it always had to be shiny, it always had to be clean. It and it took me so long time, and still after that, maybe I felt pretty for 5 minutes, then I didn't feel pretty anymore after that. And I remember I was always checking myself, always like trying to see if something already like messed up or something went wrong. And not only that, every time I get in a place or in a party or in a whatever we would go to, I would always compare myself with everybody, anybody. It was so hard, and it's so complicated. It's so hard. It's so heavy. It's big weight on you. And I would take anything what anybody said to me personally. Anything. If anybody say anything to me, I would take it personally. If say like joking things, like for me, people joking about how I look was so horrible. It was not something like you should joke about. I think in Brazil people joke a lot about how other people look, how they're very I think they're very like, in that way they're still like a little bit behind. This is how I feel. And because like, for example, in Finland, you can be whoever you are, whatever you are, you can wear whatever you are. Nobody talks about you. Nobody's gonna be like making you feel bad or making jokes on you. Maybe behind you, but not like in front of you. But in Brazil, people make fun of you in front of you, behind you. You can be anything. You have to be in the perfect box. You have to fit the perfect box. You have to look like everybody else. If you look a little bit different, if you act a little bit different, it's not acceptable. At least before it was not acceptable. Nowadays it's maybe a little bit more different. I think people are starting to be more rebellious in Brazil. They're starting to be more like, becoming a little bit more rebellious, trying to get out of the box. But this is how I grew up, and this was literally my whole life. I think I can say like really just maybe 2 years when I really stopped saying negative things about myself. It really has been like, maybe like 3 years. I'd say 3 years, but the first years were more, it was a lot of work, was a lot of up and down, was a lot of 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, 3 steps forward, 10 steps back. So it was a lot of training still, a lot of work. But I wanted to do the work. I wanted to change myself. When I realized that, when I understood that you are the molder of your reality, when I understood that you are, whatever you think of yourself is what you're gonna reflect to the outside world, is when I realized like, okay, I have to change my mind. I have to change how I think of myself. And and it's not about makeup. It's not about hair, because even when I had the best makeup or the best hair, I would still not think good of myself. So it was a lot of inner work. It was a lot of reading that I did. I remember that these years when I was learning, I would read every day. I would wake up in the middle of the night to read, because I was just so eager to learn that I would wake up just with that feeling, okay, I'm gonna read. And I would not feel tired, because it was just that at that time is what I really needed. I wanted to learn. I wanted to get out of this behavior of feeling like a victim of everything that has happened in my life. I don't want this for myself anymore. I want to be happy. Come on, I want to be a happy person. I want to learn how to be a happy person. And it took me a lot of studying, a lot of reading, a lot of trying to know myself, a lot of work, and a lot of mental work. So to get to the point that nowadays, I love myself. I think I'm beautiful. I think I'm wonderful. and I love to look myself, and I love what I see, and I'm so happy with myself. And it was not something that I always had. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of the work that I did on myself, by myself, all alone. And when I realized that it was all in my mind, I when I realized that it was all in my mind, there was that there is no victims. I said, okay, I'm gonna change it. If it's all me, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna change it. So I didn't wait to get to a therapy. I didn't wait to get to. I didn't give my power away to other people. It was me who has to do it. So I'm gonna do it. And it was a slow process because I didn't know a lot of what I know today. I didn't know back then. Plus, I had to change a blueprint of myself. I had to change a blueprint, the basis of what I thought of myself. I had to change things from many years, from like 30 years. Okay, from that time was like when I really thought that it's all on me. So it's like 28 years, taking the baby years and the very toddler years away. No, let's put 25, 24 years of self uh, self talking bad about myself, thinking bad about myself, and just watching the bad things and the bad aspects of my physical body, and seeing them distort, seeing them on myself as if I was much more worse than I really was, because that's what I thought of myself, so that's what I saw, even though that's not really the reality, that's what I saw. So what you think and what you feel is what you're gonna see. So for you to change what you see, you have to change yourself. You have to change how you think and how you feel about yourself. And this kind of change doesn't come from one day to the other. It doesn't come because if you have thought your whole life of yourself as ugly, as not good enough, as weird, as not belonging anywhere, as a little bit while for you to change the patterns of thinking, because you can start thinking good of yourself and then 1 hour later you're gonna hate yourself again. So it was all a matter of realizing when I started thinking bad of myself again, and just saying to myself, okay, stop. Really, like, just close my eyes and say, stop. You're not that. You're beautiful. You're deserving. You're worthy. You're whatever I needed to change at the time. This is what I would do until it was until it was natural to me, until it would be something that I didn't have to think anymore. And that's how I did. And it took me maybe longer than it could have took, because nowadays I know much more than I knew before. But because before I would still fall to the victim, mentality. Oh, it was, my parents didn't love me, or that's how I felt, at least. And things what my brothers would say to me, I would still use that to be a victim of my own thinking, because everybody's gonna have something in their life that is can affect them for the whole life. But you can't let these things be the shaper of your life. You can let them be the reason why you become stronger, but not the reason why you become weaker, because they're gonna be something anybody's life. It could have be that my brother saying that to me, or it could be a friend saying that to me in the school. So you can use all the excuses you want, but the truth is it's all on you. It's only you who can change. It's only you. You don't need therapy for that. You just need to know that you are the master of your life. You are the master of your thinking. And it's, if you want to change, you have to have a really deep desire to want to change. You have to, really be fed up. Like I was so fed up. Okay, this is not how I want to live anymore. I want to change. And I did. And it took me many years, and I never gave up. I felt really bad, and I thought that I'm not gonna make it. But I wake up the next day and I said, okay, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna become a better person. I'm gonna think better of myself, and I start controlling my thinking, my negative thinking. Every time I watch myself in the mirror, I would say that you're beautiful, you're worthy, you're, I think, simple things, simple and more not so specific things. I would not say, oh, you have beautiful eyes, because if you don't think you have beautiful eyes, or you have beautiful nose, because if you don't think you have a beautiful nose or beautiful eyes, it's gonna be harder for you to believe. So I would say something more general. I would just say like, you're beautiful, and that's it. And I would focus on the things that I like about myself. I love my hair, I love my color, and I would focus on those things. And I love that, like, easy to focus, and that would give me a good feeling. So I would not only like stop my bad thinking, not only, I also focus on on the things that was easy for me to think that it was good. So that's how I did, and every day I would do it. I would not, I just wanted to take the power back to myself. I would not give my power away to other people anymore. One of the things what I used to say also a lot often is that this is how you used to think, but this is not who you are anymore. So if I thought like, my gosh, I look so ugly, I would stop myself and I would think, this is how you used to think, but this is not who you are anymore. You're beautiful. Now you're beautiful. And this is really exactly how I would think. And I I believe just now I am really, after many years of doing that, it uh, I think you can do faster if you really believe that. I think it took a little bit while for me to really believe that. And I think the last real trial what I had gone through was through my ex, in my ex relationship, when I got still vulnerable, because this person was exactly like I was. He was always talking about really bad of himself, really really bad, even though he was extremely handsome guy, but all what he would think about himself was like really bad. So what I started being really vulnerable in that relationship. I started really like go back to my old patterns of thinking, like thinking I'm not good enough, think I'm not beautiful enough, and thinking me was the fact that he was so handsome person, and he thought of himself that way. He thought he was fat even though he was extremely fit. And I thought, like, if he thinks of himself that way, what does he think of me? Like, it was so silly, but was like a trigger. It was like a test for me. And I didn't know how to handle that. I couldn't handle that because I was not so stable in my thinking, in my new way of thinking. It was not yet so stable in my mind for me to deal with his insecurity and then to deal with my insecurity. So it was so hard on me, but it was a trial, and it was something that made me learn. And not only I learned, I also became much more stronger. I became much more really like confident, and really, actually really thankful for having gone through that relationship and through that final trial. I think for me it was like a final test for me to really realize that either I let other people control how I'm gonna think of myself, or I'm gonna get all the power to myself and control how I think of myself. Because once you give just a little bit of your power away to other people, it's over. It's over. If it's not yet established in your mind, if it's not yet part of who you are, this new thing, if it's not who you really are yet, you can really get unbalanced really easy. And that's what happened to me in that relationship, because it was hard to be strong for both of us. But I learned and I became a stronger person. I feel much more beautiful than ever. I feel much more like who I really am, and I'm just so thankful. And I really just hope that I can give this message to somebody who really needs it, and who really can learn something with it. And if I can help in any other way, just contact me. Or maybe I can make a little bit more videos on this and try to give you a little bit more ideas about it. But just be just just know that you can change. I know that it can be really hard, and it really hurts me to see that in other people. It really hurts me. And also, like, to this person, or to this ex, what I had, it hurt me so bad, to hear he talking of himself, like, and the things that he went through his life. It hurt. I felt it because I have been through that. I felt like it's exactly what I had been through, but I was a little bit ahead of him. It hurts me so much. If It hurts me so much to see in other people that, to see that I know what they're going through, and I just wish I could help them. And I just wish I could, I don't know, just alleviate their pain, just make them feel a little bit better. And so this is the reason why I want to do this. And I really want that anybody if anybody need like a little bit to talk, or a little bit words of strength, or something that I could help with, just contact me. I'd be so happy to be able to help anybody, because I know how it's hard, and I've been through that myself, and I've been all alone. And I think I have come out of it. And I just also want to give a big thanks to my kid's dad, because I think he was one of the person who has helped me to really try to really, like, for once, to not hate myself, not at the time, not to love myself yet. But he was really the one who helped me not to hate myself. So I'm really thankful for him for that. So maybe I did have a little bit help with him at that time when we were together. But after that, and all the time, even with him, I did the work all by myself. So if I can help anybody, I would love to help, and I would be more than glad to help. Just contact me. message goes to everybody else when you see people, and before you judge them, before you condemn them, before you talk and laugh at them, just know that they have so much pain inside of them. Just know that they are bleeding inside of them, and it's, you'd see them bleeding, you wouldn't laugh at them, you would help them, you would give them a hug, you would give them nice words, you would be more understanding to them. So I think this is the message, and and I hope it can be really helpful for anybody who is in that stage of their lives.